sprockets. This is all functional. We'll turn the system on up front. Right over here.
Wait a minute, you said all functional? What, so
Yeah.
you flick a switch and the rockets go off?
Well, like I said, when I built the car, yeah, they were wired and they fired. The CHP didn't like them.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's all you need to take a ride up the 101 in the middle
Well,
of
that-
rush hour.
That was the CHP's problem. They didn't want me to have live ordnance on the LA freeway system.
I don't understand why.
What is
everybody
wrong
else
with
has
these
it.
people? Greetings and exclamations, everybody. Welcome back to another Talking About Cars podcast where everybody has a car story. I'm Randy Cardoon, and of course, part of the dynamic duo, depending on where you see him, dynamic duo, Hot Rod Bob Beck is joining us all the way from our Talking About Cars Two Tired Guys Great American Auto Scene Studios in lovely Port Hueneme, whose weather is guaranteed to be much better than the literal hell that I am living in the San Fernando Valley, in comparison.
Yep.
Not that the valley's
Well,
complete.
of course.
No, just in comparison. So I don't even want to ask what the weather's like or the smoke situation is like. We'll just kind of move on. Moving
I was
on.
thinking of putting on a long sleeve t-shirt.
Yeah, like I said, moving on.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, we, two of us, tried something different on this show because usually we bring on a celebrity guest and usually or a car personality, and we sit there and talk a little bit about their car stories. And that's always a lot of fun. But we tried something some weeks ago, and we did kind of like, what if regular people like Bob and me, if regular people like Bob and me had TV cars, you know, the cars we knew from TV shows.
Right.
In fact, Bob, you're familiar as well with Star Cars, which is something here in Southern California, and they have them all over the world, I understand, but people who own celebrity TV show cars, and they'll take them out and show them at shows.
Yeah, a bunch of guys come out. There's a copy of the DeLorean that was in the Back to the Future. We know a guy that has one of the kit. He actually has the kit car from whatever that show was. And,
Knight Rider.
Knight Rider, yeah. He has the second Knight Rider car, not the
The
Firebird.
1 year wonder. In fact,
Yeah, the 1 year wonder.
and we actually, that car was part of our first TV Cars program.
Right.
And we also had on the Rockford Files Firebird
Clone.
The Mustang from Knight Rider was actually the Mustang. And also we did another clone, Starsky and Hutch clone.
Starsky and Hutch.
A lot of those around, and I'm sure we'll get some of those on as well later as we keep doing this. We wanted to see basically what the reaction was. And the reaction was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, people like seeing those cars. They can identify with the cars, whether they watch the TV shows new or watch the reruns. They're still iconic cars that we see all the time on TV, on video and so forth.
And so, keeping with our usual policy of never knowing when to stop something really good, we're going to do it again today in this episode. Yes, we are. And we have two cars you definitely know. One, of course, is from the Black Beauty, Green Hornet. And this is from the TV one, not the movie one, but the Green Hornet one.
The original one, the real one.
Yeah, it isn't the one, but it certainly is another clone. But this is different because the guy built it himself.
Oh.
He took an Imperial and he built it himself. And then, of course, what is more iconic than the Batmobile from the TV show twice a week on ABC, otherwise known as the 66 Batmobile? And we're going to bring the owner of that car in mere moments.
Oh, good.
Leonora Fodrell is a woman who owns a construction company, and she has one of those. In fact, I understand she's ready for us now. So, Bob, have you learned to play anything to make any noise? Can you do this or something? I mean, no, or am I snapping my fingers again? Whoa, it worked. How about them apples, huh?
Magic.
Wow, here she is, Leonora Fadrell. I got the last name pronounced right, right?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. She is joining us live from a secret location. You know, you can't like leave the Batmobile parked in the middle of the street. No, the Batmobile was hidden in a cave. Leonora's car, I'm not so sure if it's hidden in a cave, but certainly it's in a secret location so people can't bother her and try and take the car away. So she's joining us live and, live on this broadcast. Leonora, give me an idea. I mean, have you always been a car girl? How did you get interested in cars?
Well, to be quite honest, my late husband was a huge car nut and introduced me into the love of cars. And as we went through our long marriage together, he really showed me all about cars, and I grew to love the cars. And I'm a huge fan of American muscle cars. Absolutely love them. And I just love cars. They're all unique, and especially the old ones.
Yeah. Anybody in your family ever drive that stuff? I mean, before you met your husband, were you ever into that kind of thing?
Oh, you know what? I was, but not to the point that I became after our marriage. But yes, there's a number of family members that are huge car nuts, love everything about cars and trucks and tractors and what have you. And it's a wonderful hobby to have.
Leonora is in Southern California, like I said, at an unknown location. Now, I understand you do have the car with you now. Is that correct?
Correct.
Let's see if we can see it so people can just get an idea of what that's. Oh, hey now.
Ooh, now that's a real Batmobile, not these things you see in the movies. That is the real thing.
It's not the real one though, but it's gorgeous. In fact, for people who have watched the podcast before, you may remember when I interviewed Brit Ward in a Batmobile. That is the Batmobile. By the way, thank you again for letting us use your Batmobile for that.
Absolutely.
Hopefully all the, graham crackers we ate while talking didn't make a big mess or anything like that. So tell us a little bit about how you became involved with that car.
So it's actually a really interesting story. So probably about 8 years ago, my husband was a huge Batman fan ever since I can recall. Huge Batman fan. And we were both fans of the TV series, loved Adam and Bert. And
you don't have to, wait a minute, you don't have to jump right into the Batmobile now and help the police, do you, or anything like that?
I'll let them handle it this time.
Okay, good.
My Batgirl suit is at the cleaners.
I don't want to interfere with police business or the Batmobile suddenly showing up at the commissioner's office. Now, okay, I'm sorry, you were saying.
So about 8 years ago, he had an interest in obtaining a Batmobile, and I told him, of course, so does everybody else. And he was really adamant about getting a Batmobile. And I said to him, what are, in the case that you're going to get the Batmobile, what on earth are you going to do with it? And he says, I don't know why, but it's on my heart to use it for leukemia. And so it's just a really strange thing. So we started doing our investigating. He was an Indiana boy. And so we went to go visit family members, and he had been doing some research and found that Fiberglass Freaks was in Logansport, Indiana. And we spoke to Mark Rakoff, who is the maker of the Batmobile out in Logansport, and had some conversations with him, and finally decided after many trips out there to go ahead and purchase the car. So we were in the process of the build, and my husband became sick with leukemia. He had no idea prior, and it was the worst leukemia that you can imagine. He had an additional problem. It had the leukemia had a Philadelphia chromosome, which is pretty much the kiss of death. He ended up surviving for 3.5 years. He was given 2 weeks to live. And he was able to actually drive the car once before he passed. So the one thing that he asked me to do in his memory was to go ahead and keep the dream alive and do a lot of charities with cancer for it. And to this day, that's what we do. And so it's a great legacy to his memory. And we do a lot for American Heart and Stroke Association, American Cancer Society, the Relay for Life, Bark for Life, which is canine cancer. We've taken it out for First Responders Night over at Quake Stadium. It's been in the Hollywood Christmas Parade. we've done a lot of wonderful things with the car, and it just brings great joy to everybody who's around the car.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That is such a good story of why you got the car to begin with, and good for you for continuing to take the car out on these trips for good. I mean, that's incredible. And the reaction, I would imagine, out there among the people involved and affected has got to be through the roof. Well,
it's funny. I've since remarried earlier this year, which was great, right before COVID hit. But my new husband, Gabriel, and I have taken out the car and watched people's reaction to it, and actually watched a few accidents happen because people get so crazy watching the Batmobile. They're not paying attention. They crash into other cars. The few times that we have had it out on the street, people chase us down. They stalk us. I mean, they really go crazy for the car. So it's become very necessary for us to carry it around in a very nondiscreet trailer, so people don't realize what it is. But we had a great tow truck driver who was really into this, and we usually get him when we were hauling it with the tow truck, and he used to dress up like the Riddler and
oh, that's funny.
laugh and
That's
laugh
funny.
at that, and he'd go along with it. I stole the Batmobile and be driving, and people would chase him down.
Yeah, that would probably be not a good thing to drive
Yeah.
that car down the city street or something like that, or being on the freeway. Why were you not looking ahead of you, sir, before you crashed into? Well, the Batmobile was behind me. Okay,
Yeah.
blood alcohol check. Could we get that over here,
Yeah.
please?
That girl was driving the car, and it just distracted me. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so. Tell us a little bit about the car. What is under all the Batmobile cladding and all that?
Okay, so I'm going to take you over to the Batmobile so you can see
Ooh.
close.
Oh, look at that nice engine. There we go.
So this has been actually upgraded to anyone who's a car nut. It's been upgraded to an LS1 engine. So
Okay.
it can do some fun stuff.
There you go. Beautiful.
Nicely
can see-
detailed.
How pretty it is.
Yes,
Mark
it
did a
is.
really, really great job with it.
So he makes a fiberglass reproduction of the original Batmobile. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the name of his shop. It's Fiberglass Freaks. And this is number 14. And I don't know, at the point when we had purchased the car, it was number 14 of 27. I'm pretty sure Mark has done quite a few more.
Okay.
But I'm very, very
What's
proud
under
of
the hood? Well, I mean, what body did it come from? What chassis?
So the chassis is off of a 1977 Lincoln Town car. You needed something big to be able to house this. This car is actually 18 feet long.
Wow.
Is that pretty much the size of what the original Batmobile was, or is this even longer?
True to every detail. True to every detail.
Yeah, the original Batmobile was based on a Lincoln or Ford concept
Futura.
car called the Futura.
Correct.
That's right. By the way, did you know who was in the movie with the Futura? Did you know? There was a movie that was actually they've used the Futura
The original Futura.
in the movie,
before.
and it was in Paris or something like that. Any
You know
idea?
what? I remember seeing something like that, but I don't recall what it
I want to say it was Glenn Ford and Debbie Reynolds, I believe. Now you're going to make me look this up. Debbie,
All right, he'll do it while we're talking.
go ahead.
Beautiful car. Tell us about the interior. What do we see on the dashboard and so forth?
Okay, so let me get in closer and see if I can't flip my camera so that you can actually see the dash. And this is pretty cool.
Wow, that is.
I mean, they've really made everything authentic to detail.
Now, what we're looking at is we're looking at the front of the car. The interior.
dashboard,
You
yeah.
see the dashboard and a lot of the chrome, a lot of the seats, and you can see the. Let's see. You can see the bat
Extinguisher.
fire extinguisher, the bat extinguisher, and
Yeah.
the bucket seats, and of course the overhead. It's not. What would you call that? The overhead.
It's an emergency.
The
It's the
emergency
siren.
bat turn lever. Remember them
Yeah.
using the emergency bat turn lever?
Yeah.
You know what? I believe so in the series, yeah. And then their lights would flash and carry on.
This is great.
Let me get to the other side so you can see that side as
Sure.
well.
Do a walk around.
the bodywork is impeccable. That's a beautifully done car.
Keep going. Yeah.
Cars that he has seen, that has been the best car he's ever seen. Everything else has not been up to its equal. And so Bert has been in a few Batmobiles himself, and he really loved the car.
Good. Now, have you ever taken it to George's daughter to see?
Joji.
Yeah. Or Joji, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I won't comment on that because it was a sore subject for them when the patent came up. It wasn't a good subject.
I was wondering about that. How did that all get resolved? I mean, has that been resolved, or is that something you can't talk about? Or
Well, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, so if there's anybody out there who knows different, I apologize if I made any mistakes. But from what my understanding is, DC Comics owns it now.
And so owns the rights to it. Okay.
There was a number of Batmobile makers back in the day, and DC Comics obtained the patent and started going through and sending spies into different shops. Is the story. And they sent in a spy to Fiberglass Freaks, and they were the only ones that were approved to make the Batmobile after that tour.
All right.
Stores.
So you're fine.
Yep.
You know, I've heard that they've made Batmobiles out of things like Lincolns and Pontiacs, and they'd use wagons, Ford wagons or something like that.
Yep. Anything that could house this monster.
Yeah,
but this is actually the view. This is actually the view from the passenger seat, just so you get an idea of what it's like. And as you can see here, this is a huge, huge blind spot for anybody who's driving the car. It's a bad blind spot. But it's a very cool car.
You've even got a bat phone.
It's a Bluetooth bat phone.
You know, we tried, if I remember right, didn't we try to use it once?
Yep.
Yeah, in fact, when we had it over at the Hollywood show, when we were interviewing Burt Ward back in the day, we were actually, Leonora was trying to show me, okay, this is how you do it. You pick up the bat phone, and I'm thinking, how cool is this to get a picture of me in the bat phone? And I believe I have a picture of me with the bat phone, which on the video you will see it. But this is just so incredible, and to sit behind the wheel of this Batmobile was just, it's almost like being right there with a personality. Of course, you live with the Batmobile all the time. Have you ever tried to parallel park on this thing?
My husband has. I'm too short.
Oh, you can't drive it?
No, I'm 5'2". If I really scoot everything up, you know, and it's not real forgiving on the seat adjustment. So I'm 5'2", and he's a very large man, so he can get in quite well and move things around. So if I'm doing a short drive, no problem, because I can scoot all the way up. But typically I don't, because I'm so small.
Well, that's got to be a bummer. I mean, you have this cool car, and you can't drive the damn thing. You have to use pillows or something, right? Basically.
He loves it, though.
Oh, I bet.
Now, do you don the black cape and masks and so forth?
You know, her personal life, I think, is something we don't need to get into here.
All right, let me put it this way. Do you get into costume when you drive the car?
We have done that before, yes.
Okay.
We have done that before, and it's really exciting because we've taken it out to different charity events, and we'll get dressed up. And it's really neat to see the new generation of kids who've only known the cartoon Batman, which is a new generation Batman. So a lot of them don't know this old generation Batman. The kids our age do, for sure. So it's kind of neat to see, you know, kids' reactions. They'll say, there's a girl Batman, and they don't realize it's Batgirl, you know.
Wow.
And the costume is definitely different than what it was back in the day. So, yes, we have the costumes. We take it out. And for us, it's the joy of just bringing this car out. The difference it makes is definitely an attraction, you know, and we've done some really great things with it. And one of the biggest joys was bringing it out for First Responders Night for all of our police, our fire, our ambulances, and those people who really make a difference.
Wow. I would imagine you've had that car signed by people or not?
I actually got Burt Ward. Okay, can you see that?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So for those of you that are listening, Burt Ward, or may not have been around when the show was on.
He was
originally.
Robin of
was
the
Robin.
original TV show.
Right.
Good friend, by the way, of Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
No.
He was a good friend of Bruce Lee. In fact, they helped each other work on their videos or auditions for their respective roles as Kato and Robin, which was interesting. So
Yes.
that I found rather fascinating. You could see it on YouTube. I believe there's some video of that floating around somewhere. Well, this is really cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And,
Do you want to see any of the sirens or anything going up or down?
Oh, sure.
Okay. My husband is Gabriel. So Gabriel, come in here a minute.
I didn't know the Batmobile had a siren.
Oh, well, we added a few tricks to it.
Oh, okay.
Just watch it. You don't want those sirens to come by to say, hey, what was that? No, you just say it was the apartment building next door.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he's going to lift up the engine, the hood of the car right now. Here's the little scope that comes up.
There's a little scope that...
Oh, yeah, there we go, yeah.
What was that? That was basically...
The radar.
Yeah, the radar scope. Kind of looks like an irregular antenna with a little thing on top.
Something happened there.
Like
Sorry.
a bat. I heard the horn go off.
The
horn got stuck.
The horn got stuck.
That's going to be fun.
Oh, no.
Did it seriously get stuck?
Yes, it did.
Oh, no.
Well,
Sorry for that. I mean,
where talking about cars goes, nothing works. But that's all right.
yeah.
Stay away from that horn.
Yeah, stay away from that horn. Do you need that horn to go with the siren or anything?
Well, when I turn the car on to have power, the horn goes on.
Oh, okay.
Normally it doesn't do that. But
There we go.
Here we go. Okay.
Luckily, it's just a simple button, though.
Yeah. Okay, see, it's going down now.
There's that now.
Mm-hmm. Down periscope, yeah.
And let's see, can we get this going?
I'm trying. One of these.
We don't use a silver, so once in a while we have to refresh ourselves.
Yeah. You're not.
No, I get it. So you have
Not
lights.
being professional Batmen and Batwomen, it's a little difficult to remember how this thing operates.
So you have lights at the top and all that. Coming up, by the way, we have Mark Truman standing by. He's going to join us to talk about the Black Beauty here in a moment.
Okay.
How cool is this?
Okay, that's going to be a no-go.
Okay. But we really meant well. I'll tell you what. We can record this later when you get it working, and then we'll bring it back another time. Or next time we'll have you on, and we'll have actual Batmobile sounds.
Sounds great.
Sounds of the
much.
Batmobile.
Leonora, thank you. Gabriel, thank you
Gabriel,
for
thanks.
allowing to
Great
join,
weekend.
to drag the car out for a brief period and share the glory of owning a Batmobile with our Talking About Cars Two Tired Guys listeners and viewers. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
All right, so long. We bring another car, Mark Truman now joining us with our Black Beauty. Hello, Mark.
Hey, guys. How are you?
That's right. You thought we were giving you the Black Beauty. No, we're giving you Santa and his sleigh to join us here. Talk about TV cars. Oh, man.
Yeah, the trunk is big enough. I'll be able to fit everything inside.
Yeah, you can get all the reindeer and everything else in there, right?
You can put Kato in there, Batman and Robin, the whole car. It would be everything there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. And let's talk a little bit about the one, the only Black Beauty. What's interesting about a lot of people who have TV cars is they go out, and in the case of the Batmobile, who we just had on moments ago, we talked about how she had it made. Her late husband had it made, and now we're looking at a guy who made his own Black Beauty. Are you that kind of a handy guy, or just?
No, there were cars made for the show, and both of them still exist. One's at the Peterson, one's at the in private hands in South Carolina. So if I wanted one, I had to build it. It was a project I have never tried before, and I'm not so sure I'd want to try again. But it came out of a conversation with my brother way back when my kid was 2, and we were talking, well, what would be your dream car, and he wanted a Batmobile, and I couldn't be outdone, so I wanted the Black Beauty.
Yes.
He has a Batmobile. Actually, he has two, and he's been driving it for years, and I'm still working on mine.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I will say this, though. I could never figure out. I was so disappointed when I was, 11 or 10 or something like that. The Green Hornet, if I'm not mistaken, came out around 1967 and was on ABC Friday nights, possibly?
Friday night, 7:30.
Right. And it was right after, because remember, I think at the time, network TV, right after that was something called the Time Tunnel, right? Wasn't that the same?
Correct. Time Tunnel was right after that.
Brady Bunch. What was it? Brady Bunch, Green Hornet, and the Time Tunnel.
Friday night was Hogan's Heroes
on CBS.
Okay. Yes.
But this Green Hornet was on ABC. I remember that. And then
Right.
one day, I tuned in like I always did and had my favorite snacks, and something called Malibu U showed up with the late great Rick Nelson.
Oh.
And I was like, what is that? Where's the Black Beauty? And obviously at that age, I was not reading the latest Hollywood stuff, so I didn't know Green Hornet got canceled. It was as traumatic as an experience an 11-year-old can have watching.
Yeah. I'd have to agree. Brit Reed as the Green Hornet was probably my second childhood hero. He didn't use guns. He outwitted, outthought, and outplayed his opponents.
And Van Williams was the.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying Van Williams was the actor who played him.
Yes.
And was so kind of had that chiseled look, and of course Bruce Lee, who we talked about earlier in the show. Bruce was, I got to tell you, walking around and doing things like,
America's first exposure to martial arts. He paved the way for everything behind it, from kung fu fighting to all of that kind of stuff. We'd never seen it. Nope. It was active in the States in arena fighting, but it had never been seen nationwide. So we all stood there mesmerized going, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you were kids, they'd always say, okay, I'll be a cowboy, you be an Indian. Oh, I'm gonna be Kato.
Yeah.
I have the props and the hat in the car waiting for you.
Awesome. Very cool. I even went trick-or-treating one time as Kato, and I have a picture somewhere, which will never make air. Or maybe it will if I could find it. I don't know.
There we go. Now, but the Black Beauty did have weapons on it. It was a weapons-equipped vehicle, wasn't it?
It was the third character in the show. Even in the intro, it was the Green Hornet with his aide Kato and their rolling arsenal, the Black Beauty. That was part of the intro to the show. Okay. So yeah, it was a rolling arsenal. There were what you saw in the show. There were 18 rockets up front, left and right. There was a we'll just call it a knockout gas if you want. And of course, we had the green headlights, which were for night vision. That we know now. Remember, that didn't exist back then. Mm-hmm. In the rear, there were 20 rockets, 10 on each side.
Tell us a little bit about this while you're showing us the car, because you have the car there, right?
Right.
Here you go.
Beautiful.
All right, so tell us more about the car as you're showing it to us.
Okay, first of all, it's 20 feet, 3.5 inches long.
Wow.
And weighs 5,000 pounds.
Oh, man.
Weight Watchers would love it, yeah.
Yeah. It was considered the mafia staff car because you could put 3 bodies in the trunk.
And keep in mind, it was originally what, a 66 Imperial, 65?
It's a 66 Imperial Crown hardtop.
Okay.
And is this the one? Is that what you had here? Is that what you started with originally?
Yes. So we're gonna walk around the deal. We'll open this stuff a little bit later, but under here there's 20 rockets and the rear gas guns right in here, and of course he had the scanner. The scanner, we now call him a drone, but I've got the drone down there. It comes up out of the trunk, and he didn't chase the bad guys. He followed them on the scanner and then gave Cato the coordinates to go there.
Okay.
So they cruised into the bad guys.
Now, how much of what you've got on the car is actually functional? I mean, not necessarily rockets being armed, but the doors, do they pop down from a switch inside the vehicle?
All that stuff works.
Okay.
Wow.
In fact, when I built the car, all the rockets worked.
Now, what you're seeing here is he's opening the back door, and you have your basics.
Here is the rear control panel that operates everything.
Okay.
And of course, we have the phone up here in the back. That was functional up until 2 years ago when the last antenna hit the ground.
Oh.
We have the TV screen over here that the scanner reported to, and we'll go around to the other side, but there's a prop closet back there. Now, I talked about the rockets. This is all functional. We'll turn the system on up front. Right over here.
Wait a minute. You said all functional? What? So
Yeah.
you flick a switch and the rockets go off?
Well, like I said, when I built the car, yeah, they were wired and they fired. The CHP didn't like me.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's all you need to take a ride up the 101 in the middle
of
rush hour.
That was the CHP's problem. They didn't want me to have live ordnance on the LA freeway system.
I don't understand why.
What is
everybody
wrong
else
with
has
these
it.
people?
They didn't like to play.
Nobody can have fun anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. And anyway, this whole section over here, these two switches are the front and rear arsenals. So, yeah, and the whole thing tips up like it's supposed to, okay? So left and right, then I could select each individual rocket tube. We go up here, arm it, and then I could fire that particular tube.
So what we're looking at is a control panel from the back seat that they would use.
Typical 60s switches and all that. It looks very impressive, and it's a good thing it's attached, and it only works when the car's on. Otherwise, I think you just cleaned out your neighbors across the street.
Yeah, opened up in the garage.
That's kind of interesting in that I don't have a shop, and my garage is not big enough, so I had to build this whole thing on the driveway in front of my neighbors.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got everything here. These are the front rocket doors. They are tie wrapped because my local constabulary says I have to have them tie wrapped if I drive around the streets.
Okay.
There's the green headlights. That was the night vision that Cato used, and behind the license plate is the front gas gun.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. Very good.
So, by climbing into the car, and these are almost 40-inch wide doors here. Okay. And of course, a lot of this stuff is the original Imperial. These are all the door switches and all of that. It was pretty much stock. There was some stuff that never appeared in the series that I tracked down. This is my dash. There's the front telephone.
Okay.
All of the radios, and then the whole dash just folds up like that. So it would be.
And I notice you have the little player there, which may not have been 60s worthwhile, but you probably play the music of the show off that, right?
Which, the screen?
Yeah, well, it's on front of, that's attached to the.
No, that's actually my rear view mirror.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I put a camera on the back end so I can see what's going on behind me.
Well, parallel parking, it's got to be fun.
We can show you the crack in my stucco when I backed it up too fast.
No,
That's
that's,
all right.
hey, you know, it can't be problem free. You know, these are the risks you take when you drive a TV car.
A supercar
Yep.
like
So this
that,
is
yeah.
basically the view that Bruce Lee would have under the circumstances, and that's a Bruce Lee kind of hat.
That's Bruce Lee's chauffeur cap.
Wow.
And
Actual Bruce Lee chauffeur cap, or a
no
recreation?
A reasonable replica.
Reasonable
And
replica.
one of the things I added here, which looks like the armrest, which is what it's supposed to be, is the front control panel.
Oh.
Dean Jeffries actually put it under the passenger seat because that whole thing was fake, but I have to actually drive it. So we have one of Cato's darts. All right.
Okay.
Nice.
Looks like a big bumblebee.
Yeah, he would throw that, and of course you got to have your nunchucks.
Definitely, yeah.
So I actually control the whole system from here. So we go down, and I'm trying to get out of the way so you can see what's going on. We've turned the system on. This switch tells me whether I'm going to roll things from the front or the back control panel. So right now we're set for front. This again is the arming for the rockets.
Uh-oh.
And there.
There goes the neighborhood.
This is all the different things. So I'm raising the scanner up now. It's now called a drone. Listening to the motor in the back. Okay. The front gas gun, rear gas gun. I don't have the brooms hooked up, and the rear rockets.
Now, when you're displaying this car at a show of sorts, you demonstrate it. What comes out of the gas gun?
Actually, I have it hooked up to a Halloween fog machine.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's safe. I was
Yeah.
half expecting you to say noxious green
Green,
slime
yeah.
comes out of it.
Well,
just like Nickelodeon.
I do put food coloring in the fluid.
Okay. I could just see him now getting pulled over by a cop, and this stuff starts coming out, and they're going crazy.
There's the front gas gun coming out of the.
I see. Yeah.
Okay. Now
Out
we'll
of the grill.
go back around here to the back, and
We can see the drone scanner thing.
there's the scanner.
Okay.
Okay. Coming up out of the deal. That's a close facsimile to what the one was. It does have a camera on it right there,
Okay.
and that's connected to the TV. So there are times where you can stand back here at a show and look through the rear view mirror and see yourself on TV.
Oh,
Woohoo!
cool.
Okay. So here are the rear doors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For the rear rockets.
Nice.
And there's my rear gas gun.
Have you ever deployed these things or opened up the doors while the police were behind you trying to figure out what kind of car it was?
Well, I really didn't want to have a whole bunch of let me see what it is, pullovers.
Uh-huh.
I did get pulled over. And I have a police radio in this thing.
Uh-oh.
And I had it.
What could possibly go wrong?
And it's tied to a CHP speaker behind the front grille. So I had the speaker on. And I heard the guy going, "Hey, Frank, you need to come on over here. You ought to see what I just pulled over." Except I broadcast that to the network. He wasn't very happy. So what I did is I actually took it to my local sheriff's station at shift change, opened it all up, and let all the deputies look at it. with and I did this with the permission of the police chief we got sheriff, but so that they could look at it, take pictures, sit in it, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't get messed with very much at running around town.
Do people really know what the car is, though? I mean, after all, the show's only been on 1 year, and then there was the movie car, which was a little different, a lot different, in my opinion. But
yeah,
so
thank you.
They don't necessarily know what it is.
No, with the grill and all of that, what I can see, and typically as I drive by people, I'll start watching the screen in the back, and it's they're looking. Most gals don't pay any attention at all. They're oblivious to anything with wheels. Some guys sit there, and you can tell my manhood is in question because I can't realize what kind of car that is. and you can see them; they're staring at it as I drive away, going, "What is that? I'm supposed to know this. I'm a guy." And others pick up on what it is, and they turn into 9-year-olds.
Okay.
I can see that.
They turn into 9-year-olds, or they're all talking about it. Of course, they never vote for it. They go off and vote for somebody with purple paint or something, but you know.
Exactly.
But I usually end up on my feet talking about the car because they have thousands of questions, and it's always the same ones. I put a lot of those questions up on the storyboard, but I get a lot of interest in the car and a lot of questions. Is this the car from the show? Well, that's the first question I have. No, this is not the car on the show. This is a fan-built replica car. Did they read it? I don't know. You know.
Well, this is kind of cool. By the way, for those of you who are not aware, I'm showing the corgi version here, which was always a lot of fun. I don't have a huge one of it, but I do have a couple of these. But you know, the whole thing is very cool. And I tell you what, we're running short of time, but I'm so happy that you had an opportunity to chat with us on some of this. I will say this though. Remember when we were watching the show, telling us how old we all are?
Yeah.
What they would do is they do this trick where they'd shoot it during the day, but then they would mess with the camera lens, so everything looked like it was dark, but instead of seeing shadows, you'd see light shadows, kind of like it was like the sun was poking out in small places, but it was dark.
At midnight, and there's the shadow of the car going with it.
Yeah, and light coming out. It's just, how did that happen? And of course, we were too young and too gaga about the show that we. Okay, so I have to ask you this: has anybody signed the car?
Talk about an opportunity missed. No, nobody signed. My entire cast is dead. All right, let's.
Well, that's true. Yeah, by the time you did the car.
However, when I was building the car, part of what I was doing at work was building the answer center for the Lost Hills Sheriff Station in Agora. I actually built the 911 answer center. I had to go downstairs to the equipment room, and I walked past the volunteer sheriff's office, which was always closed. Van Williams worked there until he retired.
Really?
I walked past him probably 4 years running while I was trying to build this car and never knew it.
Oh,
I
wow.
never met the man, but I walked past his office at least 3 times a week for 4 years.
Wow.
So,
we don't think about them being in some other area of.
Well, he finished his acting career and then went into law enforcement, first providing radios and things like that, and then he headed up the volunteer sheriff's department and search and rescue for Lost Hills Sheriff.
Wow.
Okay.
I know that.
So I know we're running out of time, but one of these things, this car has a 440, and
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The
so
sound
we're
of
gonna
horsepower.
Yeah.
I think all the Imperials came up and had 440s back in the day.
431 or 440. So, yeah, we're gonna. This is a sound bite for you. This is what the Beastie sounds like.
Yeah.
Mopar power. There we go.
It's one of those. Don't mess with this car.
No. No.
Well, 5,000 pounds, you definitely don't have to worry too much about traction.
Well, Mark, of course, is part of, like I mentioned earlier in the show, the Star Cars group, which your brother actually started, correct?
That is correct.
And with any luck, we're going to pretty much loot all of the people who are in the Star Cars group for our future TV car segments right here on the Talking About Cars podcast. So there it is.
There's tires. All right.
Look at all that.
Yeah, my brother founded the group with a gentleman by the name of Paul Nye, who's now up in Washington. He had one of the Back to the Future DeLoreans.
Okay.
And Star Cars grew strictly by going to shows. There's never been a budget. There's never been advertising. It was all word of mouth. And it went from those two cars, which was they met in Orange County or something like that. There's now, I think it's about 10 or 11 chapters around the world.
Wow.
And in SoCal, we have San Diego, what we call Center, which is right around Gardena, which is where my brother lives, Riverside County, and I head up the group in Ventura County. There's also a group in Washington. There's a group in, I want to say, Oklahoma, Midwest, Missouri, somewhere in there. There's a group in England. There's a group in Germany. There's a group in France. There's a group in
That's a lot of groups.
Yeah, the groupies.
And basically, we're
back,
just,
ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead.
We're just a bunch of car nuts that happen to have strange cars.
No, you have cars that we all know what they are from. You have movie star cars. You have, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, iconic cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let me reverse here. Here's some of from this flyer, some of the cars that are part of the run.
Wow.
Last year at the Hollywood Christmas Parade, Star Cars was the fourth entry, and we had 47 different Star Cars there.
Wow.
And
tell us some of the cars or replicas, or how many original ones that that were there, types of cars, because people, Star Cars, they think everyone's got a Batmobile or Black Beauty, but there are other cars that are there.
Well, Back to the Future, the DeLorean, the Bumblebee, the Bullet, Mustang, the A-Team van. We have both versions of Ghostbusters. We have all three versions of the DeLorean from movies 1, 2, and 3. The 1954 screen-used highway patrol car from Broderick Crawford's Highway Patrol.
Right.
Christine, we have 2 or 3 of the James Bond cars. The Magnum PI, there's an outfit called Knights of California, and it's all the people that have Knight Rider cars, all of their versions. Smokey and the Bandit, Starsky and Hutch.
Sounds like basically you name it, they're all there. We had talked about this previously, Bob, but I do want to bring up that the movie that the Lincoln Futura was in with Glenn Ford and Debbie Reynolds,
right,
was 1959's It Started with a Kiss. Your car, your design car, the TV Black Beauty versus the movie Black Beauty.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, careful here.
I didn't like it.
I had a perfectly restored 66 Imperial. I had 2 of these monsters. And I took the other one to show We took second in the state. I ended up selling it to Sony Studios. They didn't tell me who they were. They used it for the movie and destroyed it.
Oh, man.
It was original paint, original seats. I did have to replace the vinyl top. It had the original interior, the whole works. It was absolutely primo. I even had the correct hub wheel covers for it. And they made an offer, and obviously it was good enough. So I said yes, not knowing that it was going to the movie. I would not have sold it to them. I thought it was going to a collector, which is how they represented themselves, the collector being Sony Studios. It was one of the 23 cars they destroyed during the movie. Yeah, they raided the Southern California Imperial group and pretty much shafted all of us.
Yikes.
But I won't go there.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Nope. I'm glad we didn't go there. Mark Truman, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, everybody, don't forget to check out our audio podcasts on radio.com and knx1070.com. If you're listening right now on radio.com, just to let you know, we will have this all on video, on our video podcast, on our new Two Tired Guys Productions channel. You can subscribe to both. Of course, it's not going to be at the same time. You'll have to wait a few weeks before this goes on, just so our friends at radio.com can have exclusivity on this. But in the meantime, follow us on social media, become a Two Tired Guys patron, see exclusive videos, get some swag. Until next time. Oh, by the way, did I mention
beautiful
Patreon? Oh, there he is.
And the mask.
And the mask.
You look just like a vintage.
It's Santa Claus.
Santa Claus Cato. There he is.
There you go. Yeah. Captain Action as Cato.
There you go.
Until next time, I'm Randy. That's Mark. You heard from Leonora. That's Bob. And we've been having fun talking about cars. This is a Two Tired Guys Productions. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.